We ready to go? Well, good morning, everyone. I'm Susan Kawa. I'm the Executive Director of Silver Creek Preschool. It's a privilege to welcome our honorable guests from the Ministry of Education, Ministry of Children and Youth Services, the Toronto District School Board, and our local phenom, MPP. I welcome you all here to Silver Creek, our home of 41 years. Since 1975, at this location, Silver Creek Preschool has been serving children who are extraordinary. Children with physical challenges, children with developmental challenges, children with autism, as well as our program promotes mental health through our early education services and our therapeutic programming and services to families. From our alumni rally cry of I am Silver Creek, we have been on an advocacy mission with all of you. We have seen when a community works together and has a liberal government that values children and families, huge goals can be achieved. Thank you to this government for recognizing the importance of services for children in the early years. We look forward to a long relationship with the ministries and our neighbors in the community, Friends of Silver Creek, and especially our neighbors in the building, the Etobicoke Children's Centre. I'd like to introduce the Executive Director of the Etobicoke Children's Centre, Yvan. Thank you.
Thank you, Susan, and thank you, everybody. Good morning. Thank you so much for coming out on a rainy day in the traffic as it is and making an effort to be here. We really want to thank all of you for coming out. As you know, the Etobicoke Children's Centre serves children with autism as well as mental health issues. And we can't tell you how important your services, your help in being here and arriving here, it makes such a difference to our kids and families. It is this building, it is this community, but it is the people that makes a difference to each one of our children. And the last few years have been extraordinary in terms of the work that everybody has done on behalf of our children and families in order for them to be able to receive the services that they receive here in this building in Silver Creek, in a community where everybody has worked together in order to achieve the well-being of all of our children and families. So I'd like to introduce to you Robin Pilkey, who is the chair of the Toronto District School Board Trustee.
Thank you. Thank you, Eva. Good morning, everyone, and welcome. It gives me a great pleasure to be here today. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Robin Pilkey, and I'm the current chair at the TDSB, and I'm also the trustee for Parkdale High Park. It gives me great pleasure to be here at Silver Creek with the staff from the Etobicoke Children's Centre and the Silver Creek Preschool. We're also honored to have representatives from the Adventure Place and the McNichol Avenue Childcare Program. I don't know which people you are out there, but wave your hands. Thank you. As well as guests and our local families and residents. At Silver Creek and McNichol, the communities have fought hard to maintain the presence of services and programs in these locations. Both Trustee Glover, who is standing over here, has been a strong advocate for Silver Creek, has done a lot of work, and I would know nothing about you if it was not for Trustee Glover. I think from the first day I was a trustee. And I'd also like to thank Trustee Brown, who's somewhere in the back also. Oh, there he is right here, Trustee Brown. Trustee Brown is the trustee for McNichol and has also advocated hard for those communities and the groups in that location, and we appreciate that very much. We all share the anticipation of what's going to happen today and what's going to happen in the future at both these locations. I'd like to thank our guest, Minister Hunter, member of Provincial Parliament for this location, as I heard before, your phenom, Yvan Baker, and of course the member of Provincial Parliament, Susan Koala, for joining us. Sophie, I'm so sorry. I'm sorry. She's from Kingston and the Islands, so she's very far out of her neighborhood. I'd also like to acknowledge a couple of other people who are here today. Two people who I think I should refer to as former trustees. They may not. We have Donna Cansfield in the back, who I think moved on to other things, and also John Campbell, who was a former trustee and now is your local city councillor. So I would like to thank everybody for coming out today, and I would like to welcome MPP Baker to say a few words. Thank you so much.
Thanks very much, Robin. It's a real thrill to be here with all of you today. It's great to be here with so many familiar faces, so many people who I've had the privilege of working with over the past 2 years or so, 2.5 years, and really with so many friends. I'd just like to start by once again thanking the Minister for being here, Mitzie Hunter, and Sophie Koala, my colleague in the legislature. Thank you for being here for this important announcement. Robin Pilkey, thank you very much. Trustee Glover, Councillor Campbell, and I'd like to thank Eva Dzinski and Susan Kawa from Etobicoke Children's Centre and Silver Creek Preschool for hosting us here today. And I'd like to thank the Friends of Silver Creek, who are represented today by Janet Griffiths-Maximiou and Tracy Napoli. Thank you all very much. Thank you. And Trustee Brown is here today as well. And I'm focused on the Etobicoke folks, but I apologize to those from Willowdale or anyone else I missed. I also want to thank my predecessor, Donna Cansfield, for being here to support us here today. Thank you, Donna. You know, before I was elected, when I was just an aspiring MPP, an aspiring politician, I did what aspiring politicians do. I knocked on doors and I talked to people in my community. And I heard from people about the issues that were important to them. So I heard about the things that as provincial politicians we hear about a lot. I heard about healthcare, and I heard about education, and I heard about jobs in the economy. But there was an issue I heard about a lot more than I had anticipated, and that was the need to care for children with special needs. And I remember one constituent in particular, one woman said to me, you know, all these other issues, those other ones I mentioned are important, but it's a true reflection on the character of a society, of a community, how they care for those in their community who are most vulnerable. And I share that story with you because I think that's what, for me, that's what today is all about. You know, it was 2.5 years ago or so that Eva Dzinski reached out to me and asked to meet with me and shared some of the concerns about the potential dislocation of the programs here at Silver Creek Public School, of both the Etobicoke Children's Centre and Silver Creek Preschool, and then Susan reached out to me shortly afterwards. And I had a chance to do a tour of the programs here. And I saw people, like we saw earlier today, caring for kids with special needs, caring for some of the most vulnerable kids in our community. And I knew then that we had to do something to protect the programs and to protect Silver Creek. And then I met members of our community. I met the Friends of Silver Creek, and I met the parents of some of the kids who were here, and they reaffirmed that need. And then I met some of the graduates of the programs here. I met David, I met Amy, right? and others. And I remember being at a community meeting that most of us were at, and Amy stood up and talked about what Silver Creek means for her. Was it Tara? Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry, Tara. Tara, you spoke about what Silver Creek meant to you. And you spoke about how you are a strong, vibrant, intelligent young woman. And you talked about how you're thriving, and you attributed a lot of that success and that growth to Silver Creek. And it was then that I realized that there was no obstacle that we together couldn't overcome in trying to protect the programs and protect Silver Creek. And so when I reached out to Minister Hunter's team, when I reached out to the team at Ministry of Children and Youth Services, when we met with members of the TDSB, Chris Glover and others, they felt the same way. And so today I just want to thank all of you who are here for all of your work, all the folks that I've mentioned for your hard work in making this possible. I think this is a reflection on what we can do together when we work together. It's a reflection about our care for the community, and it's a reflection on our values. So thank you. And with that, it's my honor to introduce Mitzie Hunter, Ontario's Minister of Education. Mitzie.
Thank you. Thank you, Yvan. Thank you, Susan. Thank you, Eva. It's really wonderful to be here at Silver Creek. You know, it's cloudy outside, but the sun is bright in here. As soon as you enter that room and, you know, the smiles on the children's faces and just how at home they are. I just want to say thank you. Thank you to everyone for all the work that you do. I want to just recognize that Toronto is on traditional territories of Indigenous people dating back countless generations, and I want to show respect for their contributions and recognize the role of treaties in what is now Ontario. Hundreds of years ago, after the first treaties were signed, they are still alive today. Yvan, you are a phenom. I have I have known that for many years. Before both of us entered politics, we worked together at Civic Action and in other ways. And I just want to say to this community, you have a true advocate who articulated the need for this support. And somehow we have constructed a way to make this happen. Robin Pilkey, thank you so much. You, the other trustees that are here, for the work of the board. And I know you have many things that you're carrying and for the time and attention you've taken for this project. So thank you so much. I also just want to say to the teachers and all of the workers that are supporting our children that are in this program, thank you. I see the passion in which you do your work, and I just want to recognize you as well and say thank you. So, without the cooperation of the TDSB, today's important day would not have happened, right? So this is what we're talking about here is about the community coming together in all aspects. And I actually think if you look around the room today, you see all aspects of a community, and that's what makes our community strong. Because we know that schools are the hub of our communities across Ontario. Even when schools are no longer used for their original purpose, they often continue to provide places where members of the community can come together and access essential programs and services. This winter, I had the opportunity to visit a community hub in Hamilton, where parents and families could access multiple services right in the same location, such as childcare and after-school services. And I've seen firsthand how important these community spaces are to children, to students, and to families who need them. I also visited a community hub in Sault Ste. Marie. That was the site of a former school that now hosts family services, a daycare, a teen parent program, an example of the community and the school board coming together to support all of our students and our families. And this is the reason that we're here today. Because our government heard from local families and community groups about how important the services provided at Silver Creek Public School are, such as the Silver Creek Preschool and the Etobicoke Children's Centre. And in fact, we have recognized the value of preserving both Silver Creek and McNichol Public Schools as vibrant and essential community spaces. And that is why I am thrilled to announce that the province intends to acquire these facilities to preserve the full range of support services that are available. And you will hear more about these support services from our parliamentary assistant to the Minister of Children and Youth Services, Sophie Koala. She'll be coming forward to tell you about that. But I want to say that the local families can now rest assured that the programs and the services that they rely on, some for many, many, many years. It's wonderful to see the alumni that are here today, because these children grow up, right? And we want to ensure that all of our children are able to achieve their full potential, their fullest possible potential, and they need the support to do that. So it's really wonderful to see that the alumni is here. We will continue to be there for them and for their children. Thank you. This development was made possible because of collaboration, because of community coming together in common cause. Our government has listened to the communities and the MPPs, the Phenom and others. There's another Phenom, David Zimmer, equally a champion. And our government is committed to making it easier to create and maintain community hubs across Ontario. Community hubs improve the everyday lives of Ontarians because they offer multiple services, often in highly integrated and community-focused ways and under one roof, using extra space in schools as community resources. They help to build and maintain strong, vibrant, and sustainable communities. And I know Donna is here. Donna, I've worked with for many years as well. And I know that you have been a champion of sustainable communities. So I just want to thank you for being here today as well. So these two facilities and the community services that they support are excellent examples of that. Excellent examples of the community coming together to build a hub of services vital to this community. And with the plan announced here today, they will continue for generations to come. Thank you. Merci, miigwech. Now it is my absolute delight to introduce my friend Sophie Koala. Sophie is the MPP for Kingston and the Islands, and she's also the parliamentary assistant to the Minister of Community and Social, Ministry of Children and Youth Services, and also to the Minister of Indigenous Relations and Reconciliation, as well as she's a passionate supporter of community everywhere. Sophie.
Thank you very much, Mitzie, and thank you, Yvonne. Thank you, Robin, and thank you to all the trustees and everyone who has been assembled here today. It's really very, very exciting for us to be here with you. I do want to begin by acknowledging the traditional lands of the Wendat, Anishinaabe Nation, the Haudenosaunee Confederacy, the Mississaugas of the New Credit First Nations, and the Métis Nation. Silver Creek and McNicoll Public Schools are more than schools, and we've heard about that here today. We've seen it in the classroom today as well. McNicoll Public School offers licensed child care and early years child and family support programming. Silver Creek Public School also offers licensed child care, including specialized care for children with special needs. And both, through Adventure Place in North York and Etobicoke Children's Centre, provide a range of important mental health and autism programs to children with complex needs and their families. Families caring for young people with special needs face multiple unique challenges, and we're working very hard to provide them with the services that they need in their communities and in the easiest way possible. I do want to just pass on a personal story about my mother, who was a physiotherapist, and she started a very similar program in Kingston about 45 years ago. That place is now called Kids Inclusive, and it was a place where all of the services were gathered together under one roof: speech pathology, speech care, physiotherapy, occupational therapy. Everything was in one spot. And that's similar to what you've created here, except in those days, nobody was talking about mental health. Nobody. And children were coming from afar to Kingston, and they were receiving services, complex medical services, and children had to live in the hospital sometimes without their families for 6 months, a year, or more. So times have changed, and thank goodness. This is the difference. What you see here today is the difference in between then and now, and we've come a long way. Purchasing both sites from the Toronto District School Board will allow these agencies to continue being hubs for children's services, providing high-quality mental health and autism supports to the communities that they serve. Using excess school space, as the Minister has well described, as a community resource is one example of the work we're doing across government to support the implementation of community hubs. The government is really focused on bringing these resources together and using what we have. We know that good services are part of a strong, vibrant, and sustainable community. And service hubs improve the everyday lives of Ontarians. People are able to access multiple client-centered services under one roof, which is fantastic. This is absolutely a win-win for the government, for service providers, but most importantly, for children and their families. I'd like to extend a massive thank you to Toronto District School Board and the partners for working with government to support the continuity and stability of these important services within your communities. And it's a great pleasure now to introduce Janet Griffiths-Maximew from Friends of Silver Creek. Thank you so much. Merci beaucoup.
Good morning, and thank you, PA Koala. I'm just so delighted to be in this room, and I'd like to thank Minister Hunter for that very happy announcement. Friends of Silver Creek started in October 2015, and we started as a result of a trustee Glover's meeting at Kipling Collegiate, where the fate of Silver Creek and McNichol, we became alerted to the potential fate of Silver Creek and McNichol. And some of us walked away from that meeting and said, that's not right. What's going to happen to these kids? And so today is a very emotional day for me because some of the members of our committee came together, devoted a lot of time. At that meeting, we heard from Eva and we heard from Susan, and we were astonished at the level of services, and we remain inspired by the staff's dedication, by the tenacity of the parents. They're wonderful advocates. They're phenomenal advocates for their kids. And fast forward to May of last year, where we met in Richview Collegiate, another TDSB meeting. And that's where we all heard Tara stand up and say, I am Silver Creek. And wow. Yeah, wow, we were so inspired. So I really want to thank everybody who's gathered in this room today. I want to thank all levels of government who worked tirelessly. I want to thank the staff who works tirelessly. I want to thank the parents who work tirelessly and are often very, very tired. I know they are. And I just want to say a special heartfelt thank you to you, Yvan, because you have been, yes, phenomenal, a phenomenal advocate. And I want to thank you for putting community right up front and center. And I want to thank you for working so respectfully with your constituency and being available to talk about this. And you were a real connector for us. And I'd like to thank the TDSB for this process as well, too. I know that it was long. I know that it was arduous. But I'm really grateful to be here today. And I just want to say it's such a testimony to community when they come together to support community in their community. And I just want to say a special thank you to our former co-chair, Fred Duhan, who couldn't be here this morning, but he was an original co-chair. And boy, when we started, we did not know the journey that we were going to be on, but we're richer and the better for it, and we're a stronger community for it. I'd now like to introduce Tracy Napoli, who is the co-chair, and I'd like her to speak more to the Friends of Silver Creek. And I want to thank Tracy so much. She's just been a powerful and inspirational co-chair. Thank you.
Well, today is a good day. It's a good day, and today is a day that children with mental health issues, autism, and special needs were made a priority. And that's really important, not just for our community. We want to also recognize our fellow committee members, many late nights, weekends, vacations not taken, because this was important to us. You have to understand, none of us have family members that attend these programs, but we live in the community, and this community is not defined just by geography. It's not just about Richmond Gardens. It's not just about Etobicoke. The children that come to these programs are from all over the Greater Toronto Area. And so we also want to thank the families for trusting us to advocate on their behalf. Thank you also to the 13,000 people who signed our petitions. Also, thank you to those who volunteered, calling, we would put calls out on social media. We need help doing flyer drops. We need help getting the word out. And wonderful people donated their times with their children in, their little carry-ons and in their strollers, and they would go door to door dropping off flyers. Thank you to those who called the elected officials repeatedly every time we asked, because it's important. just want to plug, it's really important that oh my goodness, I'm so sorry, your elected officials know how you feel about the issues in your community. And when they do, they respond accordingly. Yvan, thank you for being our champion. Many, many calls, access that you provided us. Community advocacy is really important, and this has been a really long road. At times we weren't sure where this was going to go. But it proves that if you come together in a united form, you're persistent, committed, and dedicated, you are very powerful, and great things can and do happen. And so we want to continue this. Friends of Silver Creek is not going anywhere. We are going to stick around for the transfer to the province and, you know, be a voice for the community. So thank you. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you all, and don't worry, we're working on that. So, thank you, Janet and Tracy, and thank you everyone for your passion for supporting children with special needs. I think it's really wonderful to see and to be here this morning. So, with that, I'm happy to take any questions that.
We can take 1 to 2 questions. That's all we have time for today.
What has to still happen before this transaction can go through right now?
So what is going to be happening is the TDSB, together with the province, will do an exchange for these properties that we're talking about here today, McNichol and Silver Creek, and then that will allow these facilities to be preserved for community use going forward. So the TDSB no longer has a need to retain these properties. So they will go through a regular disposition of properties process, and the province will put forward a bid for the properties.
How long will that take?
Well, I mean, we have to get that process going. We know once the properties it has started. So it has started. So the properties are now surplus, but they have to go through the regular process. So it will take would you like to?
Well, I'm looking at Daryl Sage from TLC. I think the circulation period is 180 days.
It's 90 days.
It's 180? Is it 180? Yes. Daryl, I'm looking at you. It used to be 90, but you changed it to 180.
So
for this one is
I believe.
Now we're having an argument.
Sorry.
What we know is at some point it's being circulated.
So just to be clear, the circulation will happen in its regular format, which is 90 days for those that are within a designated list, which the province is on that list.
We have time for one more question.
Does the purchase include the whole site, the green space as well?
It includes the whole site, yes.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.